Hello, hello everyone. So I'm back today with a layout using just scraps. So I am impatiently waiting for the new collections from Wild Whisper to hit my doorstep. The mail service, I'm starting to feel like they've hijacked them. So what I have here is I have just chunks and scraps of paper from all different collections. I have a cut file, and I am taking that cut file and some repositionable purple tape, and I'm taping the cut file to another piece of white cardstock. And then we are going to color this up. So all of my colors of scraps of paper, I found some ink colors that would coordinate or match the colors in the scraps. And I'm going to go ahead and use, so initially I was going to use the holder, but I'm not going to use the holder. I'm going to pull it right off. I'm taking all these colors and I'm going to go through and ink and use the cut file as a stencil. This cut file is from X11. And you'll see here, I start to use it, but I want more control. And so the way I'm going to do that is by just taking the different round blending brushes. I'm not going to put them in the holder, and I'm just going to use them. I thought about using my stencil brushes, but actually they were even too wide for the details that I was getting here. So I'm going to color this cut file exactly the way that I would color something with colored markers or colored pencils. To get some nice shading, I have a dark, so some colors I have a dark, a medium, and a light. Some other colors I just have a dark and a light, just because that's what colors I had at my disposal. And so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to continue to color all of the flowers and all of the leaves using this method right here. And now for the big reveal. So I've gone ahead and I've inked up all the flowers that were on that cut file, and I have used all the different inks. There, in case you're wondering about the inks, they were a combination of Ultinew dye inks and some Distress Oxides. And so here is part of our finished piece. So now I'm going to take all of these pieces and I'm going to die cut them using some Sizzix Tim Holtz flower dies. And initially I was going to do leaves, but I'm going to make my leaves another way. So fast forward, die cutting is finished, and I have chosen my two largest pieces of scraps, and I'm going to use those pieces to back my photo. So these papers are from, I think some of them are 2 years old. Some of them are from like the first collections that Wild Whisper released. So I have all of the collections that they've ever released, and well, I mean, I've bought over the course of the 3 years. I've bought all of them. So I have lots of scraps, and so what I did was I just went through all of my scraps and I chose papers that I thought would make good flowers. I mean, it was really that simple. I went through the patterns, and if I thought that the pattern would make a good flower, I kept it. So now I'm going to go ahead and place my flowers. I'm going to cluster them together, and I'm going to place them on a diagonal. And my plan here is super duper simple. Again, just place them on top of each other, make them look nice, and keep going. So I'm just going to point out here. So some of that pink pattern is from the Tropical collection from this past year. Some of these are scraps from the Fall collection. Some of them are from the small patterns, but again, just they make pretty flowers, so we went with it. I'm just going to continue here. Some are going to get layered, some of them aren't, and I'm just starting with the bigger flowers and moving to the smaller ones until I have clusters that I like. Once I have my clusters layered and I like the way that the flowers are laying and looking, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to ink up the edges of all the flowers. I'm going to use those same colors of ink that I used to do my stenciling around the outside. And what this does is it helps in instances where maybe the color in the pattern doesn't exactly match my stenciled pattern. A really great example of this is with those purples. Some of the purples match, but some of them are just ever so slightly off. So by inking the edges and bringing the color of the ink onto the flower, I am giving the layout a more cohesive look. So I pulled these two green patterns out, and what I decided I wanted to do was that I wanted to hand cut leaves. I've done this for a number of years. I can't even tell you where I first saw it or where I learned how to do it, but I always find that I like the hand cut leaves more than I like die cut leaves. I just find them to be more organic and natural, and I feel like they look more like leaves, and they're super duper easy to make. So all you're going to do is take some strips of paper, and watch, this is so easy. Just take some nice fine tip scissors, make a leaf shape, cut it out, and then we're just going to fold it up. So I'm going to go down from the top left to the bottom right, and I'm going to add collections of leaves where I feel like they're needed. So these really are the easiest leaves to make. I mean, and you can see how pretty they look. I really like them. So I'm going to kind of finish up here with the leaves, and then I'm going to flip my paper over, and I'm going to trim away everything that's hanging kind of out and off the page. This is one layout design where I'm not going to use those scraps. I really just kind of cut them. But I really highly recommend, if you don't have a flower die cut, go get one. Because when you have a situation where you just have a lot of scraps and you need some scraps, this is the place to go get them. I decided I wanted this is the place to go get them. This is the way to use them. Oh my gosh, my brain is not functioning today. Last little thing is to add centers to my flowers, and so I went through my stash again and I found these little epoxy hearts from Felicity Jane. I'm going to use those for the centers of my flowers, and then I'm also going to go through and I'm going to sprinkle just some black matte enamel dots along the layout. And the reason I'm going to do this is because that one pattern, the pink pattern that I'm using, has black writing on it, and so I wanted to bring in just a little bit more black so it didn't stand out or look off on the design of the whole page. And then finally, the last little element on this layout is going to be that I also went ahead and took those teeny tiny little pop dots and popped up some of the flowers to add a bit of dimension. I'm just making sure I like the positioning of my black enamel dots, and that's going to complete this layout. Thank you so very much for joining me today. You can see how beautiful these flowers came out and how they don't look like they're kind of themed collections anymore. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.